I'm bored.
Me too.
Let me pitch an idea to you.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Everyone's special.
I've got doo-doo in my...
Frick. When will you learn?
Listen here, you little shithead.
I'm feeling pretty oof right now.
Can't believe you've done this.
That's a several amount of damage. It's true.
Not gonna lie, so far for this, I only have stuff that you guys have been saying out of context.
Alright guys, what is going on? This is Brett here, your host for the first ever ASL podcast, which we are calling the All-Star Speaking Lounge. Today I am joined with...
Me, TCP.
And me, Malone.
And today we have our very, very special guest, the very sexy...
Me? Milan? I guess it's me, since I'm the only one left. I'll take it though. Thank you for your nice
Milan's your name
compliment.
after all.
Alright.
So, today's podcast, basically, we're going to be talking about our experiences from last season and just how everything has changed in our expectations for next season. So, what was the draft like for you guys? I wasn't able to participate because I came in a little bit later, but what was the draft like for you guys?
Okay, so this season we had a new draft style. We had a points-based draft, which I don't think we've ever done before. Has it ever been done before, Milan? Do you...
Completely original.
Completely original?
Yeah, like
Um,
no other leagues have done it.
Not at all. We are the first ever to record this, and yeah, just let it be known to the world, we are the first one to ever use point style.
Yeah.
Nobody uses points. It's just us.
Oh, but for real, this is the first time ASL uses points, and maybe the last time, but who knows? But at least it was the first time for the ASL, that is, and I actually really liked it. I'm a big fan of the point tiering system because I think a lot of are forced into certain tiers. So to be more exact, you always need in GBA style. You always need a certain amount of tier 3s. You'd also always need a certain amount of tier 2s. And with this system, you are more flexible, so you are not forced to have certain tiers. So you can have a draft without a tier 2 at all. You can have a draft without a tier 1 at all. You can just fill in your roster completely how you like it. And yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, I've never drafted in point style before. I've always had to do like GBA tiers.
To be fair, this was kind of a tiers, kind of a point system. It was kind of a hybrid of both.
Yeah, it was a hybrid. Yeah, it was.
I
I
think
still like
it
it
is
over.
I think this was probably one of the most restrictive drafts ever in the ASL.
Yeah.
I think it was very difficult to get a lot of high tier stuff. I think that's the reason why something we saw a lot of happening, at least for a few teams, is like just getting a core 6 and then the rest of the mons just being doo doo.
Yeah, I can see that. But that's the whole thing about the point system. You can like invest a lot in your high tiers and then just call it a day. When often when you are forced into like certain tier picks, you have an overall more balanced team. But like you end up with like 4 months you are never going to bring anyway, and you also don't have in your other months. And with this system, you can actually have a lot of power in your higher tier picks and then just have meh in the lower tier. So but yeah, overall it's more balanced to have tiers set in stone. So I do think that they will go back to the original drafting style, but I liked it for this season.
Yeah, it was definitely something that was very new, and it was fun to try out for you guys. But what did you guys think of your overall drafts? Like, how do you think they fit your playstyle, and did you like them?
I think that it fit my playstyle very well for non-obvious reasons. But that's not
Non-obvious.
important.
Highlight non-obvious. Highlight non-obvious.
Quote unquote.
I just wanna
non-obvious.
point out, when you first look at Malone's draft, it is a mishmash. Like, there is like no like super strong fire water grass. There's no super strong like fairy dragon steel that's just obvious. He's got like thunderous Kartana. Like, what? Who would have guessed that would be go so weird. Malone,
It
your draft's so
works though.
weird.
Yeah,
I
and
was
then you look at
actually
the
really
team to the right.
Oh.
There you go. You go. Don't worry about it.
Well, I was actually really surprised that this team fits you so much better, because I usually think you draft very good, and this time I wasn't a big fan of your draft, but you did, yeah, you did a lot better with it. So I guess it definitely fits your style. Not
Didn't you
sure
give
what
it
your
like a
style is,
D
but it
minus?
works.
I think you gave it like a D minus or something, like a D in the power rankings.
Milan gave you the
I
D.
give my deal to a lot of people, but that's a different story.
Lord.
No, it's for real. I didn't like your team as much, but hey, I didn't have to play with it. You did, and you liked it, so it worked out for you.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
you guys have like good teams.
Good teams. Yeah.
Oh, I hated my team.
Oh, really, Brett? Why don't you talk about
Dude,
your team for a minute?
I honestly hated it. Like the only like to be fair, really the only reason I chose to like take the team was because it was my way to get into the ASL. Like I really hated the team, but
Oh man.
I tried. I thought I could make it work, and I didn't. It's just
Fun fact: you did have the most transactions in the season.
I know, and none of it
What a
worked because
surprise.
like I'm excited for my draft next season.
By the way,
but
just to throw some
Hold on.
shade, when Brett first joined, I did warn him that Mega Ampharos was going to be terrible, and
oh, it's so bad. I
Really is
hate it.
bad.
I was like,
I did like the team though. You took over, Brett. Like I did like Mega Ampharos, but like the team as a whole, I think it had a lot of potential still. But if it
Mhm.
doesn't fit your playstyle, then it definitely is a burden. I can
Yeah,
see
I
that for
definitely,
sure.
I definitely think Grand could have made it work a lot better than I could have.
yeah, he probably
Yeah, I
could
think
have.
so.
F grand, by the way.
Yeah, Rip
Anyways,
Grand.
Oh, that's harsh.
I guess I can talk about my amazing draft with no tier. What was it?
Carbane.
What was the lowest tier? Tier 40 point mons, tier 6? No tier 6 mons? Probably was a mistake. But my mindset going into the draft was that if you get 2 tier 1 mons, then you're just going to be destroyed in points. So I thought, oh, I'll just get 1 tier 1 mon. That's going to be amazing. And then just go from just get value tier 2 picks. And it worked out pretty well because Diggersby and Milotic kind of carried me a lot in Darmanitan.
Mhm.
Not saying Megalodios is bad, but like I had so much fun with Diggersby and Darmanitan and Milotic.
Yeah, those mons are very scary.
Yeah, they did great. They're also just mons you can slap on with the same item on any team and will always work. Like Choice Scarf or Manitan will always work.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's just it hits stupid hard. So like I definitely like your idea of the draft, but not everyone is fortunate enough to have like one amazing tier one mon, because your draft spot was pretty fortunate.
Yep.
Different people like myself, I was like in the near the end, in the middle-ish, so there was no chance for me to have like one of those extremely good tier 1 months. So that strategy didn't work out for me. However, it did work out for you for sure. I did like your team. I think you definitely took the value picks in the high to mid tier picks.
Like Carbink.
Yeah, like Carving.
Carving. Did you ever bring carving?
I didn't ever bring
No.
Carving, but to be
Of
fair,
course
I
not.
never
It's
brought Crystal
carving.
either.
Oh, I'm sad that you didn't bring carving.
Like, I was thinking of bringing a Calm Mind Carbink versus Dave, but then I realized, oh wait, I don't want to lose to Zygarde 50%.
They just
Carbink
do
is
like
pretty-
a Shuka berry or something. You have to bring Carbink once, or
I-
else you
Oh.
didn't legitimately win.
I had
Yeah,
this
you have to forfeit your
really good
championship.
tier 6 one. Like the Monferno is a really good tier 6 one, but I also didn't ever bring it. Like I was debating in bringing it like 5 times for the entire season. So that's a lot, you can say, but it ended up game at all because I have just better options. And yeah, to be fair, that's just what I don't really like with lower tier picks. Like people are forced to use them, but we all know they're not going to be used a lot or at all.
Just like 1 or 2 times, maybe, if that.
Even if they're good, you will rarely see them in action unless they really synergize in your team, which is very hard to do.
Speaking of bad mons that synergize when they happen, can we talk about how between the Master and Brad, they brought War Turtle like how many
what
times?
the fuck?
War Turtle came to 5 games.
Yeah,
And it
I
has
still
5 deaths.
I still am confused why, but
Isn't that like
a thing. Brad showed me every single team he made. He brought Zapdos as his first pick in every team. Like literally every team, it was his first mon he put in there.
and
was-
this is a draft that I wanted to talk about. Barrett's draft, the Celesteela
Oh.
Mega Venusaur core. That didn't work out.
I think I could have made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good team, definitely.
lacked a lot of wall breaking or offensive
Mhm.
pressure, in my opinion. It was just annoying fat, but that couldn't like stall forever or break through teams. So it was like the core itself is good, but it had no mons to back it up. Like it was just the core itself, and the core itself can do too much that can obviously prep for it.
Yeah, I've always thought of Ferret as more of an offensive player, and whenever I look at this team, I'm just like, this team doesn't fit him at all. And whenever I saw him draft this team, I was like, I saw from the beginning that he wasn't
So
going to do
what you're
well because it
saying,
doesn't fit
Brett,
him.
is you would have switched if you in Barrett switched drafts this season. You both would have done better.
Probably, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
he wouldn't be.
You
champion
can't
2 seconds.
stop me with Mega Venu. Like it's really hard. Oh, I love Mega Venu so much.
Is that a
So season
Full
7,
shadow.
Brett is going to draft Mega Venusaur. You heard it here first, folks.
You heard it here first. Definitely drafting Mega Venusaur.
I realize that you have first pick, so you either have it or you don't.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
drafting Mega Venu first pick overall. That's gonna be fun.
So-
And then I have to wait
I've
50
seen
picks
that.
for it to come back.
speaking of new coaches? We have Bish's dramatic return to the ASL. Very.
Won't call it dramatic.
Are you sure?
How many seasons
Yeah.
was he in previously? Was he in? I know he was in 2, right?
He was in season
Was
2.
just in 2. Just in 2.
Okay.
Just like me.
He
just
won
in
2, didn't he?
Yeah, he did win season 2.
Yeah, very, very good on his part for winning.
Very high
season 2.
hopes for Bish going into this season. Speaking
Insert
of
the
his
song.
draft, I'm going to say I trashed on his draft so much at the beginning of the season. I had no faith in Mega Kangaskhan and his like 24 times week. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm right, but
He wanted to try, and I think he did build around certain Pokemons pretty well, but like overall the team wasn't performing to his liking. Also didn't help that he got hacked pretty much a lot in the first couple of weeks. After he made a few transactions with Mons, he was more comfortable. He definitely won a lot of games in a row and almost made it to playoffs, but it was just too late, let's be honest.
yeah,
It was just late. He barely missed out.
barely missed out.
He put up a very good fight at the end, but
Yeah.
he just couldn't pull out the wins there.
Well, he did, but not in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And also a lot of like most often you see it being a tight race, but in the ASL to me it wasn't that tight at all. It was like from week 5 and on, it was pretty straightforward who was most likely to make playoffs, and those people all did make playoffs. So
Hold
Yeah.
on a minute.
It
In
was
week
like-
5, I was not in the playoff picture.
Whoa,
okay?
Malone, you're a
That's
very
one
special case. Let's be fair here.
you are definitely a very special case.
The way you said that.
As a fan of the old power rankings, it was pretty evident that every week it was me, En, Dave, and you at the top every single time. And it happened, but like En's spot was almost up for grabs for a second there.
Yeah.
Almost.
It could have been very possible.
But
But hey, everyone has his ups and downs.
yeah.
Mhm.
Anyways,
It was definitely a big down point on Ian's side. But yeah, I hear it anyways. What's going on? What's going on?
so speaking of new coaches, we have
More
two
than-
new coaches from our prestigious training center,
Lord.
Brett and Ferret. So
the dynamic rivalry there.
the dynamic.
The funny part
rivalry.
is, like, me and him, we were the 3rd and 4th spot going into playoff. Like, in TC, I was the 3rd spot, he was the 4th spot, and then we got to finals. Oh, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed my first season in the ASL. I met some great people. That's really the purpose to me. I'm not here for Mons. I'm here for the community. And so far I'm really enjoying all the friends that I've made, and it's been a great time.
Let's
All the
just say there's a
friends.
reason I've been here for so long. Okay.
Ah, you're making it feel so nice. Talking about us as friends.
What, you don't think you're my friend?
If only it was true.
You're such a monster.
Anyways, as Ferret's
But,
mentor, I would like to say that I did have to beat him a little bit. For
You had to
underperform-
beat him a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just in the
Just
basement.
smack him with the
just a
ruler.
little bit. Only a little
Poor
bit of
guy.
domestic violence, but like Ferret this season, he kept up a tradition, I guess, of 1 in 12 teams, but like he definitely put up a lot.
Represent.
That's not a good thing, but okay.
Yeah, it's not a good
thing.
But he I would say there was a lot of games that I think this happens every time when there's a 1 in 12 season. There's a lot of games for those 1 in 12 coaches that are really could have gone either way. For example, like what I'm thinking of right now, time when he fought Shadow and he
Definitely.
let his Mega
Oh my
Venusaur just
god,
die.
that game was. Oh my god.
Whenever I mocked him for that battle, I 6-0'd him with Celebi.
And
Oh my god.
Oh, Celebi was just a monster in that. You got to be careful with that, especially if you have Mega Venu.
and
No shit.
something that is very ironic. is that he was the only one, or he only beat TJ, and TJ was the only one who beat me. So it was like an exact mirror season for me and Ferret.
Oh,
Bro, the irony.
It's so ironic. But I have a feeling that Ferret next season is going to be a contender once again.
yeah, definitely. Especially if he drafts something that's more his play style.
Hmm.
Just exact same team.
Yeah.
I can make it work. Dang it!
I just need to bring Scarf Sylvie on more.
Just every game,
Oh
just
my
Scarf
God.
Sylvie.
He had it like literally at every game.
I remember whenever I had it in TC, I only brought Scarf once.
So the next
It
person
was like
that
a meme. Like it was literally his best offensive Pokemon. So he brought it every time, and it became pretty much
It
sort of a
worked. It worked once.
worked once.
meme.
TJ wasn't
The only time
expecting
it
the
needed
double
to.
scarf.
What do you have? Scarf Sylveon and what else?
Scarf
Was it Expla?
Celesteela.
Oh, Stella Stela. Whoa, Scarf Celesteela.
Celesteela.
Dang.
Anyways, so the next person, there was a lot of replacement coaches
Yeah,
for this season.
there's a lot
Mhm.
of
Many.
changes in the
The
rosters.
Master, was replaced by Brad.
Got
So,
our trusty handy dandy commissioner back.
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that one because like Blake was he was a pretty good friend of mine, and he finally had a roster that was like we all agreed on. It was a very good roster. So he always was complaining like I don't care, like draft, I don't like my draft, this and that. And this time he had a good draft, and he still wasn't performing, and that was really sad to see. Then he got replaced, and that was also sad to see. The bright side is that he was replaced by Brad, which is like just amazing. I like him a lot. But yeah, it's just weird. A friend replacing a friend. Like I'm not sure if I'm happy or sad about it. You know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I will
You'll
give the
always miss
Master
those.
credit. I think it's something to do with burnout, because I will say I had two very close games that were pretty much the two closest games I had that ended up for wins for me was you, Milan, because we have no clue how that would end. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, that was dumb. Fuck my
And
internet.
my battle with the Master. The Master was very close to just beating me. If I didn't get like very lucky with Ditto, like it's very possible that the Master would have
Oh yeah,
gained a lot
that's
of
true.
momentum and just
Oh, I remember that video
performed.
with that derpy music.
Yeah.
About trucks or something like that.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about too much about that song. Anyways, so Brad came back and he won the consolation bracket. Like
Yeah, nice return there for him.
it was Vish
Yeah,
versus Brad, the top two coaches in the consolation bracket, as the finals, right?
Hmm.
it was surprising to see how much power we did have in the consolation bracket. Like honestly, a lot of the consolation coaches could most definitely be playoff contending coaches as well.
Talking
So it
about
was
Definitely.
power in the consolation bracket. How do we feel about like the power level of this season? Like I think Ian and you said this in power rankings. This might have been the most high tier competitive season. Yeah.
I agree.
yeah, I think each season the competition gets tighter and a lot higher. And I think first season 7, it's no different. I think it's still of great coaches left, like 3 playoff contending coaches left. I think the replacers are also all playoff contending coaches. So basically nothing changed in that sense. So I think it's still a very, very high tier competitive season.
Definitely going to be a tight race once again.
Just the question is who's gonna be in that race.
Yeah, who's going to be the tightest, you know?
Who's gonna be the yeah? Yeah, of course.
You can put it that way, of course. Yes.
So the next replacement that joined us was Easy for Cody. So
Cody.
Cody has been, and Cody and
I like Cody.
are very close. Cody and I like DM every day, pretty much.
You guys hooked up a couple times too, right?
Only a few times.
Okay. Yeah.
Only a few.
But AZ, he was definitely not in it. I don't think. Like his
Yeah.
No, he was not enjoying it at all.
his schedule was like super packed. He was like always doing it at like the latest and Sunday that he could.
And it like took forever to get back to people too. It's just
Yeah.
But I will say one of my fond memories of this season is Billy from Darmanitan Adrenaline Orb.
Well, that was pretty good.
Oh,
I honestly think my favorite thing about this season was HP Fire Slow, bro.
I do too. I think
Oh
it was
my
very
god,
effective.
that treated me so bad. It was so cringe-worthy to watch. Oh my god.
It was all my
Then I had to do a power rankings video with the N, and I had to talk like, yeah, Malone did win, upset win, very good, yeah,
Oh.
good prep, I guess. HP Fire,
Yeah, you
Well,
were
don't
nice.
think so.
You were nicer than like you guys talked nicer in power rankings than everyone else did everywhere else.
let's,
Say.
let's just say, wait, the strategic upside of running HP Fire is that he will never expect HP Fire if you reveal it early.
Exactly.
I guess
You'll never
so.
know.
Strategic mastermind Malone here with HP Fire Mega Slowbro.
Malone OP.
Yeah. The trickery. Like he is the literal VR number one.
But no, because the dude.
Anyways,
Is
our
no
last
longer with-
transaction was Susie for T-Flight. And
We're
T-Flight
doing
is...
transactions for coaches now.
Yeah, transaction for coaches. T-Flight. He is probably the craziest prepper in this league now. Like,
He's
he makes
nuts.
some crazy stuff.
He's crazy as fuck.
Not
I
taken
like
away
him.
from TJ, the previous prep master guy, but when you... Every time, half the time T-Flight comes up...
No, hold on, TCP, hold on. There's a big difference in effective prep and this crazy prep, and definitely more to the crazy prep than the effective prep, in my opinion. But that's me. But like, I definitely love a lot of his sets, and I think creativity is definitely a thing that needs to be promoted or supported. So other people will get more creative as well. But like sometimes I'm just thinking like, boy, what the fuck were you thinking? Let's never gonna work.
And when it does work, everyone's just surprised.
Well, he sends me his sets like all the time, and a lot of times there's replays, and like they work a surprising amount of time. Like it's kind of crazy, but part of me thinks that like all of his sets are like that, so the ratio really isn't in his favor, and he only sends the ones that work. But
I'm
never
just
know.
saying, I am very, very excited for T-Flight next season. Because
definitely.
I want more like refresh cloister moments where it's like the game is pretty much ended and then something just blows it out of the water. That was probably my favorite, one of my favorite moments to watch was when Brad, this was season 5, Brad versus TJ, where Brad was so far ahead and then refresh cloister against the Alamo Mola pretty much just won him the game instantly. That was great. Anyways,
It was great.
so I guess we can go back to talking about us, and I think the one that everyone wants to talk about is Malone, but we're gonna start with Milan. Milan,
What?
everyone wants to
Plot
hear about
twist.
Malone's story, but Milan, You're the guest here. Let's talk about your season.
So
How
I
did
have to
you
go
feel?
first.
Yeah, you have to go first.
My season did what? Okay. What was that?
I
Anyway, I definitely think that my season was. I liked it a lot. I liked the team I had a lot. I tried something new for me. I drafted a lot more with an emphasis on offensive pressure and wall breaking. Instead, what I usually do is pivoting and having decent cores, but I always lack that wall breaking power, and this time I definitely did have it. Throughout the season, I think I made a lot of transactions as well that definitely improved my team. So as the season progressed, my team went, and I think my results got better and better because in the beginning, I definitely struggled a little bit at the time. Game that I lost versus Hutch was complete nonsense. Like you can say whatever you want, but I think the prep on Hutch's side was extremely odd and off at a lot of times. But it was just catch me off guard in a weird way. The game versus TCP that I also lost was just annoying because the connection happened. And the only game I actually admit I was just defeated and did really bad was versus Excellent Name. And all the other games, I was pretty satisfied with the outcome. And I think it just sucked that again I faced Hutch and again I got unlucky and again I lost in semifinals.
So Milan,
So that was heartbreaking.
I think everyone sees the season a little bit differently because we all have different perspectives. But what's your favorite
Huh?
games? Like what moments in games did you enjoy?
um, I definitely liked playing versus Jalmer once again because I consider him as my rival and one of my best friends, so it's always fun playing him. So that was probably the game I enjoyed the most in a way, I think, just because of the person I'm playing. I also liked the game versus who was it again? I think that was versus Dave. I liked that game as well. It was a game that had very high expectations, so there was a lot of pressure on the game, and I liked his sets that made it a lot closer than it could have been. And Enjoy was the one with UTCP, and that's nothing personal, but just the game itself was
Yeah.
so bad.
Spending an
It,
hour,
it was
30
actually
minutes
the worst
just
game
getting you
ever.
to try to
Yeah, it was.
connect. That was a nightmare.
Yeah, for real, it was terrible.
I'm just upset that I didn't get to face you, Milan.
Yeah, that was also
I'm the
very
opposite.
sad.
I'm upset that I had to face you because let's just say it didn't turn out well.
Yeah.
So
Well, what I did like about my season is that even if it were minor decks, they did work out. Uh, Examples like the Prick Iron Ball on Bronzone worked, Beware worked, the correct EVs on Shaman often came in clutch where it could live hits and just have enough to take out certain things. Like a lot of the things went unnoticed, but obviously they worked out for me, and I definitely like it. I think the favorite mon for me to use, hmm, yeah, it is a toss up because I loved using Volcanion in the begin when I did have it. Unfortunately, traded away. Another one I also really liked using from my lower tiers was Pangoro. I think that mon, when it came, did so much work each time. So I definitely like that.
TCP never prepped for Volcania.
no. I
Like
got destroyed.
against both of us, he just
Yeah.
didn't prep for it.
Well, I kind of
Why?
prepped for
Because
it,
Volcanion was
but
so
I
good versus you.
like I don't know. I think you guys brought like similar sets, like bulky Volcanion, and I was just not. I thought I was prepared for it, and I just wasn't. I was
That's
wrong.
toxic.
Anyways, talking about Volcanion, Brett, you're new to the season.
Yeah, very new.
We
Came
talked
in
about
week
how
one.
you hated your team, but
Oh, I
what
hated
was
it
your
so
favorite
much.
battles and stuff?
My favorite battle was, to be honest, it was the battles that I had in call with Brad. Those were fun for me because it was just us memeing the whole time, and I memed because I messed up my meme. I forgot energy ball on Galvantula, and I was so sad. like, how, like how could you mess up that bad where you can't even meme right? It's just,
I think
but
we were
I didn't.
all very disappointed in Brett simply because he promised us energy balls in 2 battles versus Brad and he never clicked it once.
Real.
Like it, but I didn't have the best season. My wins that I did have were very lackluster. Against Malone, it was just a 2-0. I shouldn't have won against, I think it was Susie. He choked in that battle because he yawned me and then went into Tapu Koko and just it just didn't work because of the electric terrain. And I don't remember who else I won against.
Beat Ferret.
Oh yeah, Ferret. That one was a good win. But other than that, I really underperformed. But I honestly think I could have made the team work, but it just doesn't fit my play style at all. And I'm really looking forward to trying to change that up next season.
So, Malone, I think if anyone's here, it's gonna be to hear about your story. Give us the whole
Real.
thing. The whole
What
thing.
if I just
The
didn't
whole Malone
speak, though?
perspective.
What if I didn't speak about it?
I'm very fortunate that I got to
Okay.
see the behind the scenes of this.
Yeah, Brett got to see the majority of the behind the scenes, not the very beginning, but like some of it. Like at first, I was like, "Well, I'm to get 3 wins, another good season." That didn't happen. Like at first, I didn't even get the draft that like we had to change the draft. I wanted Mega Galated first, and then I talked to TJ, and he wanted it. Let's just say that I was good.
Snake.
If we're keeping it simple, I don't know, but I really liked my team like after the draft, and yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of obvious. Like Thundy obviously was like so fun to use, partially because it maybe was a little bit easier than it should have been to get some kills with him, but that's not important. Also, it's not him; it's any gender you want. This is a gender fluid stream, whatever. Anyways. Yeah, but it definitely was not the season I was expecting. Everyone knows that Senor Ian carried me pretty much. I wouldn't say that, but he helped a lot, and so did Brett. You guys gave me the big help, and I probably would not have done any of that without you.
Your end
In
game.
terms of the
So you did prep like how do I have to see that? Did you guys get in a call and prep for a long time, or was it just you suggesting things and they approving it or not, or
It was
how did they help you?
well,
Because
it's,
I think you had help before, right? So why did the help work this season?
like in the past it was only help for one game. Like it was pretty much just like either mocks or like I just asked people, but like this season it was like definitely full help. But like it kind of changed over the course of the season, which is kind of partially due to laziness. But like the first couple of weeks, like me and Ian, like this was before Brett was in the behind the scenes.
yeah.
Like me and Ian, like we prepped for like a long time, and like that. It was definitely like better prep than usual, but like eventually, like we were doing that when Brett joined, and then eventually it just came to the point where like I just made a team, and then they gave suggestions, and then sometimes I mocked Brett.
Yeah.
Hey,
That was fun.
in the beginning,
like,
Malone, in the beginning, you definitely did struggle a bit still because in the beginning you were still at the bottom, and then towards the middle, then you really excelled your prep or plays or whatever you did. It worked out really well, and then you just destroyed everyone back to back.
I
From
mean, like you go.
from an outsider perspective, I was watching most of it, and like what I noticed at the beginning was like it kind of took him a little bit to find his footing with the team and kind of the new prep styles that like Ian is bringing to him. And I think that throughout the season, he kind of synergized with Ian and my play style and kind of formed his own play style in a way that is very different from both mine and Ian's, but it works.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to at least Ian's. I mean, ours are a little bit different, I guess.
Mhm.
I'm still not too like big on the whole playstyle thing. Like, I think everyone, well, I guess obviously everyone has a different playstyle. Like, if you think about it, but you know. But I think one of the things like over the season, like I did become a lot more independent with prep. And I did a lot of it. Like, they still helped me, but I came up with the original teams, and it wasn't like them just like carrying me, like
Mhm.
with prep. Like Ian, like in some games at first, like I was only doing well because of like things that Ian suggested. Whereas at the end of the season, it was mainly me.
Something I'd like to bring up is after this season, you're probably one of the coaches with the best end game plays. That probably you're probably the coach with the best end game because a lot of games it came down to the end game, and you just like every turn it was like getting every play right and like just taking it back. It was amazing. Like I think I featured you so many times in top play. I was
Yeah, that was
very very impressed. Like let's talk about your win streak. You beat Vish, then you
That was like my favorite game. Not gonna lie,
then you beat
like one of my
AZ,
favorite games.
then you beat Susie, which is Susie was probably just I think that was the week before Susie. But then you beat
Yeah,
Dave and you beat Ian and everyone's going crazy at this point because Dave and
Yeah.
Ian have
Real.
been like at the top for so long. And then you beat Shadow, then you beat Barrett. That's how you ended your season. That's amazing, Milo.
I didn't expect it. Well, the thing is, like, for like my audio bad, by the way.
It's
A little quieter now.
It's
Yeah,
just you, but you can
we're
continue.
like quieter. Sorry, I have to like fix something. Like, well, the original like idea of it was like, okay, I'm doing better now, and like, I would say there's like 5 or 6 weeks left. You're about to hear a door opening. You're not even ready for this. Whoa.
What the fuck? Alright.
10 out of 10 sound effects. Anyways, so like 5 or 6 weeks left, I was like, well, it was kind of like Ian, but we were like, okay, all you have to do is beat either Ian or Dave, and you should maybe be able to handle the rest of the players, and you might have a chance at playoffs. And it turns out that I most likely needed to beat them both to make playoffs. Like, I kind of agree with what you said, Milan, about the playoffs not being that close. Like, it could have been close, but like just the way the games turned out in the last week, like it was like the worst ending.
Yeah.
But like, if things had been differently, like I probably would have had to beat them both to make playoffs. So I was like really scared. But I think like that was another thing that I improved, like was like my nerves and stuff. Like I was always so, and I still am. Let's be honest. But it definitely got better over the season.
I think you definitely should be proud of your performance. Like, and I can say whatever I want to say about Fire Slowbro, but in the end, it was you who came out on top and in the playoffs. So definitely solid, very solid.
Thank you.
I guess the only one left to talk about is me, right?
Is Brett?
champion.
Let's move on.
So, Not gonna lie,
TCP, how did you enjoy your season? What were your
I
high
had
high
a lot of fun this
expectation
season.
points?
Um, pretty much after it was after I beat Dave, and I was looking at the rest of the season. I'm like, if I beat Excellent Name next week, I can actually probably do the undefeated season, and that did not happen.
Got
Oh, let's
really
go,
close
TJ.
though.
Go,
Yeah.
You
TJ.
got extremely close.
I tied for the best record, and I lost in the same week that Ian lost. But
First,
I gotta say, I was feeling pretty oofed after that battle versus TJ. And I was like, okay, I think my season's pretty much over. Playoffs is gonna be a struggle because something that pretty much always happens to me after like a big moment is Mons is that it's just like a slump. For example,
Mhm.
after I won the first after I won season 4, um my Mons took a slump because I was spending so much time on prep that like after that like slump happened, I just my mindset was all like frazzled and stuff. And then I did training center and it fixed all of that. But yeah, I was pretty oofed after that battle with TJ. And then I had a lot of fun this season though. Overall, like there was a lot of battles that I was like I would say my two favorite battles were probably my one versus EN, my one versus AZ. AZ because like I was having such a hard time prepping for him because I think his matchup was probably the worst matchup for me. Um, I I was like, okay, if I'm going to win this, I pretty much have one way of winning it, and it's pretty much gonna be Belly Drum Darmanitan or it's gonna be nothing. And Belly Drum Darmanitan just worked so fast, and that was like a 10-turn battle, and I'm like, wow. That was so much time for such a short battle, but it was amazing feeling. And my battle versus Excellent Name. So, for a little bit of context, I think Excellent Name and I are very bitter rivals, I would say, probably. Simply because we joined at the same time. And both of our seasons were amazing season 4. So, we had a lot of expectations since then for ourselves. And um, I've never done very well battling against Ian. His playstyle is, I think, very good against my playstyle. So I had to get out of my comfort zone to really fight, be able to give a chance to beat him. And I think I really changed it up that battle. It was a lot more aggressive, and I think I was ahead. I got ahead of him. He's like the momentum king, and that felt just amazing. Taking down someone who is so good.
so you say you definitely adapted a lot throughout the season.
Yeah. After, I would say this, training center was probably the best experience for me because it
Hmm?
when you're teaching like what makes you good and what makes you what to think about when battling and that type of stuff, you have to first think it over yourself. You have to talk pretty much look within yourself and it's like, why am I good at this game? What do I do to win? What do I do when I prep? What do I do when I draft? What do I think about? What should I be thinking about? It's something that you can. I think I found if I would just reflect on pretty much how I like to play the game and how I all of that stuff, and it would help me
Mhm.
realize for matchups like versus EN, um, okay, my regular play style and thinking style won't. How can I adapt it just a slight bit so that I will have the advantage in this match? And I think that was a very great takeaway training set.
I do think that helping other people definitely improves yourself as well. I definitely mentor a couple of people on the side as well, and I must say it is very true. And while also uh, make you think a bit more um, tactful about why and ifs and in a lot of moments in a battle and before a battle. But that aside,
Oh,
um,
there's one thing
you did.
one thing I want to talk about. I did have quite a bit of help. There was some people that I
That was
was
just the thing I was. That was just the
constantly in
thing I was.
DMs with. For example, Milan and I were in DMs a lot, talking to each other about our matches. Cody and I were very close. We talked a lot. We did a lot of mocks together. Um, that was probably a big thing this season. Like outside support was very helpful for
That
just
was
for
just something I wanted to add as well to ask you. Like, oh, you had a great season. You did a lot on yourself. You also got a little bit of help, but the most I want to ask is, did you, even though you did very well, did you learn a thing or two from this season? Like, you went pretty much undefeated, so you would say flawless, almost.
um,
But what is it that you really learned throughout this season, even though you went almost flawless?
um well, there was a lot of stuff which was like prep to prep every single. It was pretty much improving or like polishing skills that I already knew about. For example, always reminding yourself like what you need to win the game, middle of the battle, and what you get to a winning. And things like prep wise, I think I brought some. It wasn't the most interesting prep to watch. I would say. I think similar to you, I had a lot of prep ideas that did not really um, seem so obvious, but like that very much helped me um,
Mm.
throughout the season. Um, like there's a bunch of little sets, I would say. Um, and that's pretty much what happens every season. Every season is a bit different because it's a lot of getting used to your team, and a lot of I would say something I did a lot more this season is I got used to. I paid attention a lot more to everyone who I was battling, kind of like what they like to bring, what they like to, how they like to play. Um,
It sounded creepy for a second, not gonna lie.
yeah, I was analyzing everyone.
He was just following. He was stalking everybody.
Talking in real life and on social media. I remember that one time I felt something breathe like a strong breath in my neck, and I turned around and I caught a glimpse of a panda, but I was just like, is it
Yeah,
PCP
I was
or what
taking a
is
picture
happening
of
right
Milan for
now?
the fashion contest.
Oh Lord. Hold on, where's the naked panda video?
No, no, please, no. But like for yeah, getting used. I'm revealing my secrets, but getting used to
Oh,
my opponents and like what they like and how
it's
they
not a
like to
secret.
play.
It's
Did
good
you?
to know who you play.
Some of these things were things that I like. I know how like for some people, like I would say, like for Hutch, for like for like Shadow. These are people who I've been playing with for a few seasons now, and I just kind of know what they like. But getting used to some new like fish, like you, Milan, like I guess Brett and
Me.
Ferret.
I
The
guess
new
Brett and Fair.
Malone. The new Malone. That
Yes, the
was
newest person.
new Malone.
The
New
new
Malone,
reformed
reborn,
Malone.
The reborn
Like
Malone.
he
reincarnated
just turned
Malone.
ripe.
Okay, honestly, I do think that I'm pretty like unpredictable now.
Really?
Yeah, very unpredictable.
No, not like in game, but like my sets. Like
Yeah.
they're not as similar as they used to be.
I think that's a
Like,
very
So
good
it's
thing.
not
Among
Castalia just clicking Moonlight over and over again. If is that what you're
unpredictability
referring
is
to?
a
Yes, it
huge
is.
asset in Mons. Like unpredictability in what your opponent's gonna do. That I would say that's probably Cody. If we're talking about Cody for next season, if you want tips on Cody, it's that he is probably the most unpredictable battler I know to face against.
Special Lando T.
Yeah, like his first game back,
was
like
good.
that was a game. That was kind of obvious actually because all games are games, but you get the point.
Yeah, Cody is
Mm.
definitely someone to look out for, simply because
Uh,
if you have a battle plan versus him, it's probably not going to work.
just bring hypnosis. That works.
Hypnosis.
So,
Shout
we
out to
talked
Cody.
about all of ourselves, but there are some other big stories that happened this season. For example, Dave. It was pretty much Dave's first season. He did amazingly. Like, I would say I wasn't expecting Dave to be such a shit talker. No. But like those finals, I would say he really got me riled up those last few playoffs because he was
Yeah, I was
he
glad
was
you beat
so
him.
confident in himself. But like Dave did amazing. Like, I would say
Did.
I never thought circuitry would be viable. And
Who would draft circuitry, by the way? Can we just bring that up first? Who would ever draft circuitry with the first pick of a draft? I'm just saying. I don't know anyone that would ever do that. Say, continue.
Didn't you do that?
oh wait.
Didn't you do that one time? Or
Yes.
But anyways,
Yeah, I did. Remember when I like? You know what? Continue. Don't worry about it.
He doesn't want to talk about it.
I don't want to bring up bad memories because it's bad memories for me and bad memories for Milan. It's a lot of bad memories. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
for Milan.
Dave, I
Yeah.
definitely knew he was a threat. I didn't really know exactly how, but like his banter was quite amusing in some situations. Like that, the first few weeks, the big highlights for me was Dave versus Ian in the kill war or the kill count war between Zygarde 50% and Mega Altaria, because one week Dave would get a sweep with Mega or Zygarde, the next week Ian would get a sweep with Altaria, and then Malone just came out and won that whole thing.
Yeah, he just
and
wrecked
lost it.
both of them.
Yeah, for real. For real.
But like
That
some,
was
something I admire about Ian, and something that makes me even a little bit angry, is how he always gets those mons with a lot of kills. It's because he's very calculative about his game plan and knows how to position a mon to win the game very well. But
Mhm.
I was surprised someone was able to come in and keep up with him in kills department, at least for a little while, until Malone came,
Like,
of course.
a lot of teams function in a certain way that each mon has a role, and if a certain mon has a role to always revenge kill or sweep, typically will obtain a lot of kills. So the team will always play out in a certain way that that said mon is the win con and will be preserved till the right amount of time is ripe. What's weird sentence? But till the right time to bring it in and rack up kills. And EN, he always stuff, and he always makes sure he drafts that one thing that he wants to get a lot of kills with, and he doesn't even when he builds, he doesn't even go in with the mindset of that mon getting a ton of kills, but he just plays it. He plays the game, and he knows, okay, this is what I have to do, and that said mon will get the same amount of kills once again. I asked this to En before, and a lot of the times he does indeed try to give it kills. When it has a lot of kills, he will give it kills when he can. those scenarios, it just happens. So, and I think that's the same with Malone. Like Malone, Thunderous was always clearly his win con, and like you said, TCP, he had a strong end game, which involves Thunderous, and yeah, it racked up a lot of kills.
But I will say this: big take here. Season 7, I'm predicting Dave's gonna win it. Just saying.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I have predicted Dave and you, like at first, because I didn't know anything about Dave, really. So I'm like, I'm just gonna hype him up, but I don't know if he's gonna win. But I think it'll be a fun season. Let's just say that.
Another thing to mention: the daddy of all of us, so
Yeah, Big Daddy Dave.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Well, Big Daddy Brett right now, but it's everybody still has Brett in their name, and I don't know why.
Don't worry about
But
it.
not only like okay. I guess TCP does. I changed mine because if you guys didn't know, Brett was the only reason I was winning my games because my name was Brett.
He was
But
Brett
then
cubed.
no, back when my name was like Brett, but with the S that looked like a B. Like back then, I like that was when I was winning, so I just didn't change it.
That was his theory, was that as soon as he changed that, because that's when his win streak started.
It was around then. I don't know exactly, but then I got oofed, and it was like
I think we
it was
should
fun.
have the biggest take here. Did talk about Brad a bit, but let's talk about Bish and Ian those final weeks. Bish going on a tear, and almost giving him the spot. So, not gonna lie, I really wanted Bish to win against Dave. Dave just smacked him down, said no. But I would. Sometimes the underdog is just who you want to vote for, and Ian was definitely not the underdog at the end of this season, and I was rooting for Bish because that comeback story is something that's always fun to see. It reminds me of my first season of the ASL when I was a co-coach of Statics, and we spent so much time to get that playoff spot, and it was probably the greatest season that I can remember that I haven't actually played myself. But seeing those underdog stories really brings me back to good times. I was rooting for Vish. That didn't work out, but he definitely put up one hell of a show. So, how did you
Definitely.
guys feel about Vish and his dramatic almost comeback?
I think I don't need to really add anything there. I think we all know that I was definitely supporting Vish and hoping he would win. And I was saying it each week in the power rankings, he will turn up eventually. And he did turn up, but just, or yeah, he did turn up. He did turn up on time, I'd say, but just wasn't enough. Like the defending coaches weren't making the crucial mistakes he needed them to make, so he couldn't get the upper hand over them, which was very sad.
Yeah, definitely at the time I didn't like it because big scary for playoffs. But I was in the last week I was rooting for him definitely. Now that when I clinched, but it was like it's hard to root for someone that could take your playoff spot.
Yeah, definitely.
But I guess the next point we want to talk about is rival matches. Had a bunch of big ones. We had
Yeah, big rival
Um,
matches.
we didn't have the big one of Ian versus Brad feels bad man, but we did have En versus Hutch. And a lot of rival matches ended up being like the haxiest things ever. Specifically, Ian versus Hutch. Let's see. Wasn't Vish you? Wasn't you versus Vish pretty haxy, Milan?
There was a crucial critical hit which allowed Shaman to basically never die versus him. So I would say yes. On the other hand, uh, he did crit on me before, but that's just a lame excuse. I can't deny that crit was just huge for him.
But
But
there
yeah,
was these rival battles. I remember going into the comish and hanging out with Hutch. I'm like, you better watch out because all of these rival battles have been pretty hacksy. Well, then that happened. That was probably,
Oh,
I would say,
were
other
we in
than
voice chat?
the battle that wasn't of everyone who wasn't here or who isn't here, that was probably the biggest battle of this season. Hutch versus
Yeah,
Ian.
most likely.
We were in voice chat. That was I
Really?
remember now. I was in voice chat with like TCP.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it.
Oh yeah,
And it was just like it was just complete depression and then not depression.
oh yeah. After the Latias got frozen, it was like, okay, this is the end. And then that end game just happened, and Malone and I just couldn't help but laugh for like
Yeah,
5 minutes.
it was kind of sad.
I don't know. I disagree. I don't think that was the hexiest match. When I like the impact that it that was what made what made this match really big in terms of hacks. But like what actually happened, I think there were like a few crits. I think like there wasn't there were other matches where I thought like, whoa, this was just wild. Like this hex. I can't give an example like straight away, but
Like me versus the master.
Any game versus Vish.
something like that. Yeah, for example, or I don't know exactly what games, but there were a couple of games where I was like, whoa, this is just crazy. And in Hutch versus Ian, even though it definitely contained a fair mid amount of hacks, of course, of course.
That's the most memorable one I can think of at the time because I remember watching that battle live. But
Yeah.
speaking of Hutch, do you want to talk about Hutch for this?
Oh, oh boy.
Yeah, it's just
Hutch.
Hutch is just like he's just this young kid that's out in the ASL for so long, doing like the absolute most, and and also like basically what we're doing is has been made possible because of him. So of course, mad respect to Hutch, but I think everyone reaches like of not feeling it anymore, and it was very sad to see. But I think this season that points Hutch as a lightning strike. Like out of nowhere, he was just not having it anymore. He was very frustrated. The games didn't went his way. A lot of unfortunate things happened. At least he saw it that way. Um, because of that, he was just not frustrated slash angry slash disappointed and a lot of emotions at the same time, and it led to him yeah, the game. Like I think that's fair to say he actually hated the game and didn't want to
Mhm.
play it anymore. And that was just not something you want to happen because we play this game, of course, because we want to play, because we like the game and we like the community. But Hutch was just not having it anymore, and just like seeing a friend struggle like that is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was
Add
very
something?
sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I very much feel bad for Hutch. Very much hope that he'll might return bigger and
Yeah.
better than ever. I love that guy. He's the best.
Definitely. I mean, like one
He's
thing.
definitely one.
Say your thing, Brett. This is your
He's
chance.
definitely one of the most. He's definitely left his mark on the ASL. Like not only as a coach, but he's also been a huge part of managing the ASL for so long now. It's hard to imagine that he's gone, but everybody needs those breaks. And hopefully he'll be able to get into a much better mental state regarding the game and just everything in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem was like he was. I think this is how most people burn out is they take it too seriously. Like one thing about that I think about trying like just playing draft league and just in general the game for a long time is just to have freaking fun, and then like so you won't burn out. Like I'm not trying to bring myself into this, but like I'm here because I have fun still. It's not like I go super try hard all the time. Like I got smacked in the playoffs. I don't care. It was fun. It was a fun season. So like I think just we all need to have fun. That's a PSA for everyone to have fun. That's a requirement.
Yeah, I
There you go.
agree.
Definitely.
But let's move. I think we should move to a little bit of a better headspace. Maybe talk about something that's a bit more fun. Let's see. Who haven't we talked about? We haven't talked
We
about
haven't talked about Shadow.
We haven't talked about Shadow or Excellent Name. I want to talk about Excellent Name Shadow first.
I think we should talk about Shadow. We haven't talked about him at all.
Okay, let's talk about Shadow. The one with the worst draft. Definitively the worst. Everyone hated it, but I gotta say, for a time there, he was in playoff contention. And I gotta say, no one expected it.
Nope.
Nope,
Nobody at all.
not at all.
Does anyone here have an explanation of how Shadow did it? Because I think I have some.
He had fun.
He had fun. Yeah.
He had fun.
Hey, it's actually true though. I think. I
True.
mean, it's not why I did bad, but it still
I
happened.
think Shadow's team was so weird and offensive in a way that weren't able to adapt properly to like a lot of people play bulky offense or balance. Team just all hit it so fucking hard or was way too fast or had this weird elements, just struggled with it. And I think it's something we all overlooked because yes, defensively it was poor, piss poor trash. Like any setup mount, just once it got a setup off, it would straight up 6-0 Shadows draft. He was able to put a lot of pressure on people with these offensive Pokemon. He managed himself in a pretty good position very often. So I think that was definitely the biggest upset in the season in general, like from the start, because I definitely wasn't expecting him to do well with that team.
Yeah. I think this is something I realized when he battled Excellent. Is that he hyper offense is very situationally matchup oriented, but when you have the matchup, you have the matchup. Like that is pretty much impossible to I'm just thinking like him EN at the time, he had like 5 mons weak to ice and it just could not stop Shadow's like hail core. And he Shadow I I think that some of it might have been the draft where people were very restricted in defensive options, so they just couldn't wall out Shadow in a way that this team would probably normally get walled out. But like he was able to, I would say I don't agree with how he drafted. I think at least having one tier A is something that you should have because so much offensive power comes from tier A. That's where like I would say if I had to guess, I would say 50% of the kills came from tier 1 mons. But Shadow didn't draft any of them. He went for a very value oriented, a very offensive oriented team. And I think when it worked out, he had the matchup and he just wrecked. And I think that's something that could be very scary if Shadow gets like a team that happens to be very good against a lot of teams. He could be a coach that just gets there because even if everyone hates his team, even if everyone's like, "Wow, this is has no deep bulk at all," he could get there with an offensive team. And I think the prime example, the top of the cream of the crop, is looking at EN because EN's drafted pretty much hyper offense before, and he did well. So I think
Yeah.
someday, I don't know if it will be next season, but maybe Shadow could just be an upset person to get into playoffs with his type of style.
Well, this is more a question for like a future podcast because I want to start a whole new discussion.
Okay.
But like, could this be the worst team in the history of the ASL?
The
I don't
worst
know,
team in the history of the ASL?
but that would be fun to look
I
at.
doubt
Like,
it.
like going back, like just the best and the worst teams. Like, it would be interesting to look at.
Yeah.
I think there has been drafted
I'm
a
not saying
lot
it
of
is.
trash in season 1. Like a
Yeah, but that
lot of
was in
trash.
Gen 6, so it was all different.
Still ASL history though, so we gotta count them.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we haven't talked about TJ either. So we'll talk about EN now and then TJ and then I think that's almost everything. So excellent name. His season was hip at the top, cream of the crop.
Farmer
It's very
But his team was
Sure.
very scary.
Okay, yeah, let's go. What?
I will say, as someone who viewed him as a rival in a very offensive, threatening position, I did help a lot of people prep against him. And that's probably a snake move from my point. So TC Snake.
Snake the snake.
Snake, the crispy snake.
Yeah, the crispy snake. But something that would happen is he would destroy every gimmick I came up with that could potentially beat him. Like, for example, there was the gimmick of Cosmic Power Claydol, which got destroyed in a very uneventful fashion. There was Brett. I think we had a cool set. I forget. Is it
You
also
helped me
Cosmic
face
Power?
Ian, right?
Yeah. Was Cosmic Power
Yeah.
Clefable?
Yeah, I was.
A
I'm
lot of
noticing
I
a
got
pattern.
And then there was Cosmic Power Jirachi and Cosmic Power Sigalith
have-
and Cosmic
Wait,
Power.
did I have Cosmic Power Jirachi?
TP, cosmic power is not the answer to anything.
Yeah, Cosmic Power is not the answer to X name. But his team was very spooky. Something I'd like to point out is Alolan Marowak is actually so threatening on that team because it I think it like perfectly synergizes with a few of his just that electric community for like Tornadus and Slowbro and that just that fire typing. That was a mon that was very scary to prep for. That would rarely come because I think it's one
Yeah.
of those mons that are scary to prep for but performs less in general, or it's good in theory but bad in general.
Unless you're static,
Unless
then it
you're
works.
static, yeah. But I think that was a very nice touch to his team because even though if he didn't bring it the most, I don't think I'd have to check how many times he brought it. It was very synergistic with his team. I think his team.
Times.
He brought it 2 times. Yeah. So I think
Oh.
and he still, even despite having a 100-point mon in Alolan Marowak, he had a very strong 6 with Tornadus T, Cobalion, Slowbro, Amoonguss, Raikou, and Mega Altara. I would say a big theme of this season is at least at the very start is a lot of teams that were doing well had a very strong 6 mon core. And I would say X and Name probably had the strongest other than AZ. AZ and X and Name would probably be two strong 6-month cores. But like
I disagree, but okay.
okay. I might be blanking on a few other. But his team was definitely, I would say, probably the scariest for throughout the season. Simply because everyone knew how good EN was. So I would say his team was fantastic. He performed very well. I would say Facade Mega Altaria. People didn't expect it. Like he destroyed Dave with Facade Mega Altaria. That was crazy.
Mhm.
And yeah. Else to
I
add?
just Yeah, I definitely at the beginning during the draft he took Cobalion and I was like pretty upset about it. But yeah, in the end he did justify it a bit with calling it the general. But
Took
more
him a
about
few weeks for
actually
that, didn't
important
it?
stuff. Anyway, more about the important stuff with EN. Throughout the season, he did very well. He definitely used that 6-month core very effectively. But the thing that most is Elf, I think. He wasn't, he was just like Hutch. He was not really enjoying it. Minor mistakes, which did cost him, that just added up to his demotivation and of the game. And that really stacked up throughout the season. Like in the beginning, he was doing amazing. Then he made one minor slip up. I think that was versus Shadow. And from then he wasn't completely himself anymore. And then when he lost to TCP, like he was like, since week 6, he has been saying like, okay, I'm definitely going to beat TCP. I will end his win streak. Then he lost and he was like super, super upset. And that was for me to see because he's a good friend of mine. And I definitely didn't enjoy him seeing him so sad. We used to talk about sets a lot after the playoff recordings and was a lot of chill fun times. I think I spoke to EN probably more than most other coaches just because of that power ranking thing. And yeah, it was really sad for me to see him in the end not even caring about playoffs that much anymore. And he got defeated by Hex again, and just was just sad for me to see.
Yeah.
Well, I think he coach and he had his down season for for a coach of his caliber because he definitely is like an elite coach. He's super extremely good. That was it.
And finally, a resident snake. Unless I'm forgetting some. The last person.
President Snake.
The
The
last
snake of
person we need to
snakes.
talk about. The season 5 champion. Going into this. Now, I'm gonna brag a little bit, just a little bit here, but I did predict at the beginning of this season that his team might not have enough prep options for TJ to really finesse like he did last season. And I would say his team was very restrictive in terms of what he could bring and finesse with. I think that really hurt TJ in the long run. You guys think?
Well, starting out, didn't he say that he had like he was busy a lot of the time and
Yeah.
he couldn't prep as long as he usually could. But towards the end, I think he got out of what was taking up most of his time and he started spending more time prepping and mocking, especially against you, TCP, how he formed literally the bring down TCP club that he did. But and it ended up working for him. He definitely started to show his potential that he does have towards the end weeks. But I think that his biggest strength lies in his prep. the amount of time he spends on it, because that's what he's known for. He's known for finessing people with his prep. And if you take that away from him, it's just, I don't know, it's hard to see, like, say if he'll pull it out in the end.
Next season, TJ will definitely turn up though.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely want to see the TJ versus T Flight finesse. Best prep.
The finesse wars.
The finesse
It's
wars,
also the
crazy
Brit Bowl.
prep, fireworks,
also the Brit Bowl.
everything. It's gonna be amazing.
But
It's
you
the-
can just shorten it to the Brit Bowl if you want to.
The
Jay.
Brit Bowl.
The Brit Bowl, the Irish Snake versus the British Thunderman,
The Thunderbird.
Thunderbird.
Anyways, I think we talked about every team, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty much, not every team, but pretty much.
Pretty much.
But I think that'll do it for the first episode of the All-Star Speaking Lounge. It I honestly didn't think it would go this long, but it did, and it's been really enjoyable so far.
Yeah. Agreed.
Thank you for joining us for our first debut episode, Milan. It was really great to have you.
Oh, my pleasure. It was really fun to be here.
All right, and I guess that'll do it for us, and we will see you guys in the next episode of the All-Star Speaking Lounge.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.